Hi, I'm Emily Abraham. Welcome back to the Love Luxury YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the damage that counterfeit goods do to the luxury goods market. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like and comment. Hi, so welcome back to the Love Luxury YouTube channel. Today we're talking about the damage that counterfeit goods are doing to the luxury goods market. And quite often I get comments of people saying to me, oh well, why would I buy a bag that costs multiple thousands of pounds when I can get a fake and it's just as good? So today I wanted to kind of cover this topic and bring some awareness to why, just how dangerous and damaging counterfeit goods can be. It was reported in 2021 that the total for the global counterfeiting of goods was estimated at $4.2 trillion. That figure absolutely boggles my mind. And another fact that I read is that allegedly 20% of the items that are on social media platforms are not genuine. Certain platforms are more renowned for having people selling fake items, and unfortunately Instagram is one of the platforms that is absolutely riddled with these accounts that are not genuine, and they close down because they get shut down by Instagram, and then they pop up under an almost identical name, and they are always selling counterfeit goods. It's also been reported that in 2020 alone, the luxury goods industries lost a reported $50 billion in revenue due to these counterfeiting rings, and the fact that we were shut down for lockdown. Lots of people were buying from home and this market went crazy. Also, I read an article in Forbes that stated that 2% of world trade is accounted for in counterfeit goods, which is over $4.5 billion of revenue. These figures just literally are blowing my mind. When I was reading up on this, I already knew that there was an issue in our society, but I did not realise just how severe the issue was. The highest product that is counterfeited is clothing. Then after that comes cosmetics, personal care, watches, jewellery, handbags and luggages. China has always been renowned for pumping out non-authentic items, but recently this has spread globally, and now we're finding that counterfeit goods are coming from India, Pakistan, Mexico, but also now Vietnam, and I'll come back to that a little bit later. The luxury goods brands that are most hit by these counterfeit rings and are most widely counterfeited are Rolex, Louis Vuitton, Gucci and now Hermes. Love Luxury being in this industry causes a huge problem for us. For us here at Love Luxury, the reason we find that this is such a problem is because we encounter so many people who buy goods online and believe that they're buying genuine goods. So that in itself is a problem. I think there is a certain aspect of our society that believes that counterfeit goods are acceptable. They're even fine to have. Why wouldn't you buy them? You know, they're cheaper, they look the same. I can guarantee you that as an expert, they do not look the same. And my grandma always used to say something to me. She said, buy cheap, buy twice. And it's just the truth. If you buy something cheap and it seems too good to be true, you're going to end up buying more than one of that product, because they never are as good quality as the genuine items. I read an article while I was doing my research for this video that said that when people were asked the reasons that they buy counterfeit goods, they said social pressure. So from social media platforms, they felt the pressure that they had to adhere to the social standards, peer pressure due to friends, family, co-workers, people in their society having these luxury goods. They also stated that because the items are luxury, they are very hard to get hold of. And that is the case, particularly with Hermes. You can't just walk into a store and get one. So people stated that they resorted to purchasing counterfeit goods because they couldn't be bothered to wait anymore. And then finally, the price point. So I think price point is probably the case for the majority of people buying counterfeit goods. When I have posted videos about us not wanting to have counterfeit goods here at Love Luxury, the overwhelming response that I've got from people is, why would I spend thousands of pounds or thousands of dollars on a genuine item when I can buy a fake and it looks just as good and I can use my money elsewhere? I do understand that to a degree. I understand that you feel like you're getting a bargain and you feel that it does look the same. Again, as an expert in authentication of luxury goods, particularly handbags, I can tell you they don't. There is always something that's off. The sheen on the leather is not right. The way the product sits is not right. The hardware is always off. You know, you might buy a Gucci that has got a 6 and a 9 instead of 2 G's, for the GG print. There are so many factors that somebody who knows what they're talking about can pick out on these items that the majority of people deem as it looks the same. It just doesn't. The problem with these counterfeit goods being in the market that I've encountered, being one of the owners here at Love Luxury, is that so many people are duped. I just touched on that earlier, that people buy things online, they believe it to be genuine, they feel like they're getting a bargain, and the reality is it's not. So one story in particular, in fact there's a couple of stories that come to mind, but I'm going to tell you 2 stories actually. The first story was of a young lady who came to the UK to study. She was from a well-to-do family abroad, and her family had advised her that while she was in the UK, she should invest family money in Hermes bags. So she came across a company that had a very small shop front and little to no social media presence, but they were selling genuine bags. And at the beginning, this company were selling genuine bags. So let's not get that mistaken. At the beginning, they were. And then when this lady contacted them, they had already started selling counterfeit bags. But the problem with this is that they were selling them as genuine items. So anybody who knows the luxury goods market in the UK will know that sometimes these bags, these Hermes bags, can go for as much as 3 times the retail price. And if it's a special bag, it can go for even more than that. So imagine this young lady came to the UK, she's studying, her family is sending her money, and she's placing orders with this company. Now, one of the bags that she bought, she liked, but she got another bag very similar from them. So she decided she was going to sell the one that she previously had and had used very lightly, and that she wanted to sell it to us here at Love Luxury. She brought it into our store, and alarm bells rang straight away. As soon as we saw the bag, we felt that there was something off about it. We didn't want to alarm her, so we said to her, look, we're going to put it through third-party authentication, and she was going to come back with the bag and sell it to us once the authentication came back. And as we all suspected, the item was not genuine. But what snowballed from that incident was that she had spent £210,000 with this company in the UK, and every single one of the bags that she purchased with them was fake. She brought them all into us. We authenticated every single last one of them, and every single bag that she'd spent her family money on were non-genuine items. And as you can imagine, even if you're a rich and well-to-do family, to lose 210,000 Great British pounds on goods that you think are investments is a huge amount of money to lose. The next story that popped into my mind when I was researching this was of a young lady who was a student. Again, she had saved her money from her part-time work, and for bits of money left over from her student loan and what have you. She'd scrimped and saved, and she had decided that on her 19th birthday she was going to treat herself to an Hermes bag. Now, she found one online, and I'm not going to say the name of the platform, but the payment platform was PayPal. And I think this is very important, that when you're buying things online from people, you pay via PayPal, because you do have your buyer protection, which is something that you don't have if you pay via bank transfer or credit card to any kind of company that you've never dealt with before, and that is an unheard of company. So this young lady bought the bag. She said she did feel like it was a very good deal, and it was an Hermes Kelly 25 in black Epsom leather, palladium hardware, and she managed to pick it up for £9,000. Now, this was last year in 2021, and even in 2021, that is a very good price for that bag. So when she told me she paid that for it over the phone, alarm bells rang for me. She brought the bag in for authentication. As soon as I saw the bag, I sat her down and I explained to her that the bag was indeed not genuine. We put it through the third-party authentication, so she had the certificate to prove it, and she opened up a case with PayPal. Thank God that she paid through PayPal. Goods and services, do not ever pay someone you don't know through friends and family. And very luckily, because of the help that we were able to give her and the authentication certificate, she got all of her money back. Because buying genuine bags and having genuine bags on the market is such a massive thing, the big fashion houses got together and they decided that they needed to change their systems. I think that I've briefly touched on that on other videos, but for Chanel, what they did was they removed the hologram, because the counterfeiters were able to fake the holograms to almost near perfection, and the black cards that came along with matching the hologram number. And with Louis Vuitton, they have now introduced a microchip system. So Chanel and Louis Vuitton have now introduced a microchip system. Now, this system is nigh impossible to fake. You know, you have to have a chip in the bag, and it has to register on the reading tools for it to be a genuine item. Now, with Hermes, what they did was they changed their system. So prior to 2000, and I think it was 2018, they were just doing alphabetical order, and that correlated to numerical years, whereas now, the next year, nobody knows what the code is going to be on the date stamps of their bags. So there's still going to be people that are going to argue with me, that are going to tell me that buying a counterfeit good is made in the same sweatshops, is still the same product, is still the same quality at a lower price point. It's just not how it is. The reason I'm so concerned about this is because when I was reading up and doing my research on this, I found an article that said that the real designer houses in the USA alone had to unemploy 750,000 employees. That is a huge amount of people that in the States alone have lost potentially their only source of income, and they now have to try and find another job in a very volatile market. We hope that you're enjoying the video so far. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like and comment. So another fact that we all have to bear in mind when we're buying these counterfeit goods is that these people are treated very badly, the ones that are actually creating the goods. So if you buy from Hermes, if you buy from Louis Vuitton, if you buy from Chanel, they are massive companies that are bound by laws and regulations. They have to pay a certain amount as a wage. They have to have certain working conditions. And these rules are not applied on the counterfeit market. So these people who are crafting these bags, one, will not have had the in-house training from the original designers. They're just seeing a bag and creating a bag, and they're being forced to create them at a very high rate, very poor financial payment in return, and also the conditions in which they are working are substandard. And it's that also worries me. On top of that, it's also been proven by Interpol and all of these agencies that deal with these counterfeit goods that anything related to counterfeit is usually supporting another type of crime, and whether that be drugs, people trafficking, there are many organised crimes that are benefiting from these counterfeit goods. Just going back to the USA figures of 750,000 people losing their jobs, globally it's estimated that 2.5 million people lose their jobs due to counterfeiting rings, which means that nearly everywhere in the world people are affected by this faking industry. A massive point about this that people seem to overlook when they're arguing their point with me about the fact that counterfeit goods are okay is that in nearly every country in the world, it's actually illegal to produce counterfeit goods, and it's also illegal to sell them. It may not be illegal to buy them, but it is illegal to sell them. If something is illegal that carries a heavy prison sentence, would you carry that across the ethics of the rest of your life? Most people would say no. So in my mind, if it's something that a government deems as illegal, then it's something that needs to be stopped. So I want to tell you about my experience of non-genuine items that have come into us here at Love Luxury. Now, we do see them a lot. People don't know that they're not genuine. Maybe they were gifted them, maybe they were handed down from other relatives, or maybe they found them in a charity shop or on a social media platform. I can guarantee you that the leathers are not the same. I've heard that argument, oh, but the leathers are the same. Chanel sell the leathers and then these people create them. They're not the same leathers, okay? You can believe the stories that you want to believe. I can guarantee you there are never the same leathers. The leather is substandard. The quality of the products is substandard. When we open a counterfeit bag, we predominantly, the first thing we do is sniff it. The reason being because the counterfeit bags are glued together instead of being properly stitched. The glue helps them produce these items very quickly, whereas if they're from the original house, the glue that is used is a much more sophisticated glue with no odor, and it's used very minimally, which is the opposite to these fake items. Not only that, these fake items just don't last, which is why I go back to what my grandma said: you buy cheap, you buy twice. You will find that you're buying and rebuying these counterfeit goods. By the time you've rebought it 3 times, you may as well have gone out and paid for the original thing. You know, why would anybody want to buy a good that when they're walking down the street can fall apart? And I can tell you, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in the UK. I've seen girls walking down the street, the handle just falls off. And they're like, they feel so embarrassed, you can see, because that would not happen with a genuine item. Plus, if you do buy a genuine item from a genuine source and it has a proven certificate of authenticity, whether that's on the first market from the houses themselves or on the secondary market with the authentication certificate from companies like Love Luxury, if it's a genuine item and it breaks, you can take it back to the original designer and they will fix it for you in-house at a very low cost. You can't do that with a fake item. You buy a fake item, it breaks after a month, you have to throw it in the bin. You buy a genuine item, and if it breaks in 5 or 10 years of use, bear in mind they are built to last, you will be able to then take that item back to the original house and they will 100% repair that for you. They will have that guarantee. I've done it with Chanel, I've done it with Hermes, I've done it with Louis Vuitton, and I've done it with Gucci. These brands do repair their goods. So bear these things in mind when you're thinking that buying cheap and fake is good. I have to be honest, here at Love Luxury, we see a lot of them. People bring them in, like I said, we authenticate them, and they're not genuine. And for me, it's really sad that these items are even on the market. So I've got some bags behind me, and this is a Chanel small classic flap in caviar. It happens to be one of the most counterfeited items that we've ever had brought in here for authentication. Moving on, we have the Hermes, Kelly and Birkin. We have the Louis Vuitton Neverfull, and then we have a Gucci Marmont bag. These are items that we see highly counterfeited. So if you see something like these on the market without an authentication certificate that you can double check is actually a genuine authentication certificate, by the way, don't buy it, because the risks are too high. Make sure you always go to a well-known and trusted source like us here at Love Luxury. Thank you so much for joining us here today, talking about a matter that we feel very strongly and passionately about here at Love Luxury. We hope that you found it informative. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like and comment.